Well, good evening. Welcome to the Dancers. I'm Rick,
Kathy.
and this is kind of just a little impromptu thing, right?
Yeah.
Our business. We have a business coach, and we were talking to her the other day, and she said, "You guys should go on and."
Well, we were telling her our story, our recent story of the fall.
yeah, the bike accident from hell.
And she saw it as a metaphor of our kind of what we're doing in our life right now. So we are here to tell that story, I guess.
So I'm going to pull this, and I want to take this really quick, and I want to share that over there. And boom. Go ahead. You keep talking.
Okay. So I guess it would have been a week ago last Friday. Is that right? A week ago last Friday.
Yeah.
We there's this Mount Nebo that sits right out our kitchen window that we can see to the east, and it has been always something we wanted to go and see what it was like. Our neighbor Willard, who has since passed away, but his son lives next door to us, and his wife Shelley. Anyway, he was a surveyor, and he went up there up years ago. And when we moved here, he had talked about that and said someday we should go up and see what it's like up there.
So when you look out, like right here, if it wasn't cloudy and you look out our kitchen window, we'd look at Mount Nebo every day. It's always like we're in the shadow of this mountain, but it's like, it was 30 miles.
36.
So it's a long way out there, and you have to go there. I can't tell you how to get there, or we'd have to hurt you.
But it's on logging roads, and it's on, gravel. And so we had a friend who could find us or let us rent mountain bikes or use mountain bikes. And so we all three headed that way last Friday, or a week ago Friday.
So Sean Litson is kind of our hardcore biking buddy, and he's a mountain biker and we're road bikers. And so I've been mountain biking with him before, but he's just like this, just a real tough guy. And so he got some bikes for us to use.
And thankfully he had gone on, and we were trusting him too, because we're with directions, because we figured he was more used to being out in the outback area of these mountain logging roads. So he had downloaded all these maps and had them all with him, thank goodness.
Hi, Becky. But you can't get service up there. So he brought a map that was on a piece of paper, and then we'd trace it as we went on his computer, on his phone.
Yeah.
And he and Kathy did that, because I don't do that.
And we could see where we were and when we'd get off. And so we did a lot of turning around and all this kind of stuff. But it was just beautiful up there where we were. But it was lots of climbing. Most everything was climbing. When we get off, we go down, and then we'd have to climb back up and find our spot. We even got to one place where there was a huge tree that they'd kind of put over the path, and it had overgrown. And that was the one we went down. It was part of our trail.
So on this journey that we were on, we kept making wrong turns. And because we'd try to see if this was going to be on the map, we'd want to follow it. So we'd make these wrong turns. So we'd go, and sometimes it was a long way out of the way. Like we'd be down a mountain, we'd have to go all the way back up a mountain to get back up. And then that's what Kathy, they had all these stumps across. And that was probably the prettiest place, because you're on a road that's not even a road anymore, right. No gravel, and you're all by yourself, and you're just out exploring the wilderness. And it was absolutely the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. But we took so many wrong turns. And it wasn't like we were messed up. We were just finding our way,
Right. And it happened to be a beautiful day. So it was really pretty out. The sun was out, and it was warm, actually, and warmer than usual. And so we just kept journeying, but we kept getting off track. And then finally we could see the summit, and we could actually see it. And yet we could not find the road to get to it.
So we went down this one road, because we'd all kind of go, okay, what do we think? And we'd kind of make a guess. And so we went down this one road, and we ended up all the way down, and then it dead ends. And that happened to us a lot. And then, so Kathy and I went, okay, there's got to be a little trail here. So we're kind of seeing a sort of trail, and we go back on it, go maybe, 30, 40 feet. And we realize this isn't a trail. So then we have to go all the way back up to this thing. finally we get on this place and we see the corner, and that's when we kind of knew.
Right. That this was it. And of course it was straight
You guys, it was like that.
straight uphill.
So we got off our bikes
And pushed.
And Sean was having cramps because he hasn't ridden for a while. So he was having cramps. So we kind of went ahead because we're just going, we got to get to the top of this thing. And Sean was going to make it, and he did. But it was really hard. It was like we wanted to stop.
And at one point, when we finally got to the last corner,
there's Shawnee. That was the hardest part,
Hey,
seeing
Shauna.
the destination and deciding the road.
right.
We knew we were going to get there.
So we got to this corner and we just put our bikes there, and then we walked to the top of the summit. And there, sitting on the top, it felt like you were looking right out your window almost on the Sisters. I mean, it was absolutely gorgeous. And then we could look down, and we figured out where our house kind of was from there. And it was pretty absolutely amazing.
And then Sean came up and he looked around. We took our pictures, and you guys, it was just such a beautiful thing because we worked so hard to get there. And it was like, and the payoff was that you did it. And that's kind of our story, right?
But that wasn't the end of the story.
No.
The story kind of continued. We all got
We flew down that
to
hill.
the top, and
gravel and flying and going way too fast. And Sean
of
goes
course, was
way too fast.
he was way beyond us. And but we were just flying and having so much fun coming down the hill. And then we get to the pavement because we rode from our house. So we got down to the pavement. We were within a mile of our house, and we went around a sharp corner, and
our bikes touched each other because we're not used to riding on mountain bikes. They have big fat tires, and our tires just kind of,
and our handlebars probably got caught.
And Sean was fortunately out of the way, and Kathy started to go down, and I saw her. So I reached back and tried to grab her bike to stabilize her. And then she went fluent, and I just heard her screaming. And then I just went flying off my bike and went down and landed on my wrist, and it just snapped like that.
So
it was, and Kathy was,
anyway,
she was screaming, "Oh, I'm sorry, Rick. I'm sorry."
I felt bad because I really feel I ran into him going around the corner, and just being unfamiliar. The corner is actually sharper, I think, than I realized. So I clipped his bike. And so I felt so bad because he was in so much pain. And, so we were telling our business coach this, and she said, that reminds me, if you really think about your lives and where you guys are and where you come from. And she says, I see it as a metaphor. And she had asked Rick, knowing all that you do today, would you have still gone on that?
And I said, yeah. Even knowing, if I knew that Sean and Kathy and me would get to do that thing, and we get to go up there, and it would be so hard and challenging and difficult. And then you came down, and I knew that I was going to break my wrist. And this has been like just really sucky. It hurts so awful. And it's just been, and I can't, and on top of having my freedom and all kinds of other things restricted by COVID, now my body is restricted by this, and I'm active. And so I'm trying to figure out ways to work out around it and do stuff. So it's been really miserable. But we both looked at each other when KL said to us, would you do it again with this? And we both looked at each other and we went, yeah. And it's costing us a lot of money. And another thing was that when we were there on the side of the road, I was moaning because it was just hurt so bad. And Kathy was just there for me. Neighbors came over. We don't know them, but they came over and were giving us ice water and ibuprofen. And one guy worked for the fire department, and he was kind of new, so he was a little nervous, and he put a little makeshift splint on me and stuff like that. But they took care of us, and they were there for us. And I think that's kind of like life. And it's like our life for the last 10 years is when we quit KUZI, and then we ran for Secretary of State and lost, and then we got cancer and all this stuff. Do you want to read a story about your life, or do you want to live your life?
And I think, after after I have to have processed things. I don't think real off the top of my head. So I kind of had to process what she had said and thinking about how this was a metaphor. And I thought, it's all about vision, and it's about, those when like maybe the mountain for us, that day, the mountaintop was our vision, and that's what we were headed for. And when we got tired and when we didn't want to go on and it was so hard, we didn't lose our vision, and we kept going to the top. And when we arrived, the payoff was unbelievable. But, and then even at the end, you never know. But I even think about our lives and for us, and stepping out and doing the PNW backstories thing. And, that was a vision, and it still is. But it's not always easy. And yet when you keep that in your, you keep focused on all the good that comes.
Well, and the goal.
Yeah, the goal.
It's like here's Sean and Kathy and me looking at the mountain. We know we can get up there. And so it's like, we are not going to be a mile from the top and not do this. It's just like, it's finding that thing in there.
And I think it's easy when you can get off track. I think you can easily kind of step off and start going different. And it's like, and then somehow.
Or get distracted.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so when KL said to us, this is a lot like the COVID thing, too, is what do we do to create our own sanity? And how do we make it so that that doesn't become overwhelming as we're climbing those mountains, and we keep our vision is who we really are and what we're trying to do here. And it's really hard because, like, for us with PNW, travel's restricted right now. Well, that's our business, so things are starting to open up. We're having meetings and phone calls this week with some of our prospective clients. And it's like, honestly, she's better at it than I am, because I get really sucked into the down thing. And Kathy you keep but you were that way at the rec scene too. Is you have to have somebody there that can keep focused and do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're badasses for sure. But see, you know what? I think that's what we want you guys to understand is we're all badasses. It's like, you don't all have to do the same thing that Sean and Rick and Kathy did, but it's like, we all have mountaintops, and it's like, how badly do you want to get to that place? I mean, if you're, and Sean will tell you, he was there. Every time we came around the thing, we'd hit an end and we go, oh shit, we're never going to get there. This is horrible. And then you'd pull back up and we go, wait, there's 3 more trails. So we keep trying, just going down a road and coming back and going down a road and coming back. But we did have Sean, we had education. We weren't flying blind. It wasn't like we weren't going with information, but we were doing what we could and then pushing. And I'll tell you, that last hill, and Sean already said, that last hill was it was freaking unbelievable. And Kathy and I were pushing our bikes up there, and it was at least had to be a mile.
Yeah, it felt like it.
And we were super tired. We were just done, and we're just sitting there, but you can see the top, it's coming. And then we got up there and we walked around up there, and there is not a human being for miles. And you're just on the top of the world, and we're going, we did it. We absolutely did this, And
I think kind of what's encouraging about it too, is when I think about other times where, in my life, I guess, where I allowed the bad experience to overrun anything else. But in this case, maybe it's wisdom, maybe it's living long enough that you realize that, you know what, we're going to be fine. We're going to make it through these times, and you grow from them, and you realize that, you know what, it didn't kill me. I can keep going. Right. I can do this. And so although it ended in a pretty nasty, being in the emergency and till 10:30 at night, and still really not having surgery, having to wait for days. It's okay. We're all right. It could have been worse, but we're okay. And we still remember that day as being an amazing day.
Right. When I look up the mountain, I don't think, oh God, my arm, and what's going to be restored and when's this going to be fixed or anything like that. I think Sean and Kathy and me, we did that. I mean, we kicked ass, and we know how hard we worked. There's other parts of the story we're not telling you, but we kind of had to slide on some land and move some things around. And so it was all this big adventure. And all three of us looked at each other. And the very start of it, we all looked at each other and said, should we do it? You want to do this? We're going to have to go. We're going to have to ride. And we did it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it took effort. Here's Sean. So he says, top of the world, literally in your own backyard. So many times we need to go places, yet there's so many places so close to home most don't ever see. I thought I'd been all over that area, yet found a new place. Exactly. So what are the new places that you're looking for in your life? And as COVID comes in and and fear and all this kind of stuff tries to keep us from kind of realizing that, I think that's what our business coach KL was talking about is to refocus what we're doing on not getting as involved in all the negative stuff. And I mean, I was such a bastard at our meeting.
At our last meeting.
Yeah, our last meeting. I was just done because I hurt and things were, it throbs and it's like, I just was done. Just to take a shower. She has to wipe my back. And I mean, it's like, I can't do anything by myself anymore. I'm like not self-sufficient. And as a guy, I don't like being like that. So it's like, and then we just do it. So fortunately for me, we have each other.
Right. That's a huge blessing.
And then we have our two boys who just think we're freaking crazy. And they both go, Mom, what did Jesse say to you?
He says, Mom, that's just not good. That's just not good. When I told him that Rick was in the emergency, actually urgent care, we tried urgent first, but that wasn't going to be enough. So we had to get to emergency, but he was just like, this is not good. Like, what have you done?
And so then all the other things that come out of that too is just Matt McCarl, one of our clients who owns New Leaf Hyperbaric. He gave us some free sessions to come in and infrared lights and stuff and doing that. So he comes to our rescue. Other people have been doing the same thing with just letting us know that they love us and care about us. And, you start seeing that your family's kind of bigger. Our other son, Jake, he called, he's on the phone. Are you okay? How you doing? They're checking in to see how you're doing. And I think that's what we're learning. But I guess the whole point of this is to just make sure that we all understand that just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not good. And just because you fail on the way doesn't mean you don't get to the mountaintop. You just don't stop, Right.
And I think it's kind of where is your focus and what are you doing in your life to keep yourself healthy and to not go down the rabbit holes.
And Kathy just got done with the session. You just had your hyperbaric, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I'll tell you, they have these, the red, ultra red lights. I don't know what they are, but I put them on my bruises and I'm not kidding you. They are healing much faster. And so this has been great.
So there's my hand. I look like I have I'm ethnic and it's all swollen. But tomorrow we go into the doctor and they're supposed to take this off and then give us something that we can put on. I still have my splint on my left hand, so I get it.
No.
Yeah, it's just a pain, and it itches, and I want it off, and I want it gone. Yeah, Lisa, never give up. That's exactly right.
And maybe it's also, I think, maybe realizing that we're a lot more resilient than we really realize that we are, and we can really do a lot of more than we give ourselves credit.
Yeah,
we can live through a little bit more pain than we probably realize we can. And I think what I'm learning, I'm sort of a risk taker anyway, but in certain areas and maybe in other areas, I'm not as much, but it's like, you know what, we're going to be fine. And the more you step out there, the more comes back to you.
Right. So that's really all we wanted to do. Just kind of share that little story with you. Hope it inspires you. Sean, we love you. Thank you so much for going with us and taking care of us and coming back to the car. Oh, we didn't even tell that part. Sean comes back rides his bike a mile back to our house, gets here, and he'd accidentally left his lights on. So he had to recharge his battery a little bit so he could get in his car to come back and pick us up.
And get the bikes. That's crazy.
So we're sitting down there going, where's Sean? What's going on here? People are going, didn't that guy picking you up? And we're going, yeah. So it was just like, but all the things that went wrong also make a better story. I think that's the other thing you learn is that,
true. That's true.
It wouldn't be a story. If it had all gone well, we would be sitting here going, yeah, we went on a bike. We wouldn't be telling you about it. We just went on a bike ride and it was beautiful. And if your dark hands from antiseptic, no, that's from bruising. And that's just, and it's going down. It's getting less. Shannon Jones is on here, honey.
Hey, Shannon.
So take this, share it on your page if you want to, if somebody might be inspired by that and get something out of it. Let me tell you too, tomorrow we're going to be at Elements Gym. They're going to show us how a gym is going to open up and how that's going to work for them. That's around 1 o'clock or so. And then tomorrow night, right here, we have a really cool show. Oregon State prisons are proposing that they get rid of death row. And there's a local family whose son was murdered by a by a criminal named Conan Hale. And they are not very happy about that. So Scott Weld over at Buck Sanitary Service sponsors a show with us called The Buck Stops Here. And we're going to take that, we're going to talk with them live from Washington State. And her son, the brother, lives here. So that's tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we'll be back here. And I have another show on Thursday afternoon. And I can't remember what it is, but that's just how it is. That's sometimes how happy hour works. You get happy and you forget. Love stories with happy endings.
Yeah.
We're still waiting for the happy ending, but we have each other and we're alive.
We have a happy life though.
Yeah, we do. All right. Thanks you guys for paying attention. We're glad you're interested. Have a good evening. I like the message in the story. Thanks for sharing the day on the story. Thank you for helping us out, Sean, and going up there. We really appreciate you. What are you drinking? We're both drinking a beer, and my beer is, which one? Oh, I have a Pelican Imperial, Pelican Pub. We're going to the beach this weekend.
And I don't know what I'm drinking.
You have Suicide Squeeze from Fort George in Astoria. So we are doing beach beers tonight. This is our beach preparation beach beers. And so where the beer? Okay, you got that. Always good to see you too. Thank you. Bye, you guys. Okay, we're going to shut her down. You guys share it if you want to, and we'll talk with you later, okay?
All right. Good night.
Goodbye, guys.